Somewhere out there is a planet where it rains molten glass, sideways, at 4,300 miles per hour. Sounds impossible, right? It's real. The universe isn't just rocky worlds and gas giants like the ones in your textbook. Out there are diamond planets, pitch-black planets, and planets being slowly devoured by their own star. We're going from the strange but simple to the cosmic monsters that are forcing scientists to rewrite the definition of planet. Let's get into it. 1. The eyeball planet. This is a tidally locked planet. One side permanently faces its star, the other is trapped in eternal darkness. Picture a basketball. One half frozen white with ice, the other glowing red-hot like a furnace. The boundary between the two zones forms a ring of liquid water, looking exactly like the iris of a giant eye staring at its sun. But here's the strangest part. If life exists at all, it can only survive in that narrow ring. So what happens when an entire planet is submerged in water? 2. The global ocean world. This is a planet with no landmass at all. The entire surface is one terrifyingly deep ocean. Earth's oceans average 2.3 miles deep. Here, the water layer can plunge hundreds of miles down, like comparing a coffee cup to an Olympic swimming pool. But here's the scary part. The crushing pressure at the bottom can compress water into solid ice, even while the temperature stays scorching hot. So what if a planet had not one sun, but two? 3. The two-sun planet. This is a planet orbiting a pair of stars locked in orbit around each other, straight out of Tatooine in Star Wars. Kepler 16b is the famous example, where two suns rise and set at different angles every single day. Imagine a sundial in your backyard that never keeps consistent time. But here's the wild part. Its orbit is so unstable that the slightest shift could fling it clean out of the star system. So what about a planet that rains gemstones instead of water? 4. The glass rain planet. HD 189733b is a gas giant, a mesmerizing cobalt blue from a distance. But that beauty is a death trap. Its atmosphere is loaded with silicate particles, blasted sideways by winds around 4,300 miles per hour. 7 times the speed of sound. Step outside into that storm and you'd be hit by millions of shattered glass shards moving like bullets. But here's the terrifying part. Surface temperatures top 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt silver. So if glass rain isn't crazy enough, what about rain made of molten rock? 5. The lava rain planet K2-141b keeps one face locked permanently toward its star, hot enough to melt stone into a churning ocean of magma. Vaporized rock rises into the atmosphere, condenses, and falls back down as molten rock rain on the dark side. Imagine an entire steel mill tipped upside down into the sky, raining down like a summer shower. Winds here reach 3,100 miles per hour, whipping the magma ocean into real waves. But here's the wild part. This evaporate-then-rain cycle repeats forever, with no end in sight. So what if what fell from the sky was actual diamond? 6. The diamond planet. Some planets are thought to be made largely of crystallized carbon, solid diamond. The standout candidate orbits the pulsar PSRJ 1719-1438 and may be the exposed core of a star that's been stripped of nearly all its material. If that's true, the diamond there outweighs every diamond ever mined on Earth combined, like comparing a grain of sand to an entire desert. But here's the astonishing part. It's so dense that many scientists suspect it was once a star itself. So what about a planet made entirely of dense metal? 7. The naked iron core planet GJ 367b is small but has a density close to pure iron, essentially a bare metal sphere. Imagine Earth's molten iron core, stripped of its crust and rocky mantle, left drifting through space as one heavy, dense mass. But here's the strange part. A year on this planet lasts less than 8 Earth hours. So what about a planet so dark it barely reflects any light at all? 8. The pitch-black planet. Taurus 2b is the darkest planet ever recorded, reflecting less than 1% of the light that hits it. The Moon reflects about 12%, and even coal reflects more light than this planet. Side by side, it looks blacker than freshly burned charcoal, swallowing almost all incoming light instead of bouncing it back. Its atmosphere absorbs light with extreme efficiency, and the intense heat causes it to glow a dim red from within. But here's the eerie part. It's practically invisible against the darkness of space. So what about a planet light enough to actually float on water? 9. The cotton candy planet Kepler-51d has such bizarre low density that scientists compare it to cosmic cotton candy. It's nearly the size of Saturn, but its mass is barely more than Earth's. Drop it into a big enough tub of water and it would float like a beach ball, instead of sinking like most planets. But here's the hard-to-believe part. Its solid core is tiny, like a single pea rattling around inside a giant balloon. So what about a planet being slowly swallowed by its own star? 10. The star-eaten planet WASP-12b sits so close to its host star that it's been stretched into an egg shape instead of a sphere. Gravity is literally tearing material off its atmosphere, forming a glowing tail of gas that connects the planet to its star, like a giant vacuum hose draining its life away. Surface temperatures exceed 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to vaporize metal. But here's the tragic part. In roughly 10 million years, this planet will be completely consumed, gone forever. So what about a planet where metal itself falls as rain? 11. The liquid iron rain planet. UASP-76b is hot enough on its day side to vaporize solid iron. Powerful winds sweep that iron vapor to the cooler night side, where it condenses and falls back down as liquid iron rain. Picture an entire steel foundry flipped upside down over the sky, molten metal dripping down instead of being safely poured into molds. The extreme day-night temperature swing drives one of the most violent storm systems ever recorded in the universe. But here's the wild part. Because it's tidally locked, the iron rain only ever happens on exactly one half of the planet, forever. So what about a planet with no star to orbit at all? 12. The rogue wandering planet. Not every planet has a host star. Some, like CFB-DSIR 2149, were flung out of their star systems early on and now drift freely through the darkness, no orbit, no sunlight to warm them. Imagine a ship that slipped its mooring, adrift on an endless ocean with no compass and no destination. Scientists estimate there could be billions of these rogue planets in the Milky Way alone, potentially outnumbering the stars themselves. But here's the eerie part. The sky on one of these worlds is locked in absolute permanent darkness. So what about a planet orbiting something even more terrifying than a dead star? 13. The pulsar planet PSRB 1257+12 hosts the very first exoplanets ever confirmed outside our solar system, and they orbit a pulsar, the ultra-fast spinning corpse of a star that once exploded. This dead star spins hundreds of times per second, sweeping a beam of radiation across the planets like a lighthouse cutting through a storm at sea. That radiation is roughly equivalent to millions of nuclear bombs detonating continuously at the surface. But here's the wild part. These planets are thought to have formed from the very debris of the explosion that killed their star. So what about a planet stripped down to nothing but a bare core? 14. The stripped bare planet. This was once a gas giant, but sitting too close to its star, stellar wind and radiation blasted away almost all of its atmosphere over billions of years. What's left is a bare, rocky, or metallic core, like a balloon that's lost all its air, leaving nothing but a shriveled shell. Scientists sometimes call these Chthonian planets, the exposed remnants of a hell-like stripping process. But here's the astonishing part. What's left over sometimes has a composition unlike any rocky planet we've ever seen. So what about a planet so dense it's heavier than lead? 15. The lead dense super-Earth K2-106b is a super-Earth with unusually extreme density, packing far more iron than its size should allow. That density is like cramming an entire truckload of metal into something the size of a basketball. Scientists still don't fully understand how such a small planet accumulated so much heavy metal in the first place. But here's the wild part. Surface gravity is so strong that a 130-pound person on Earth could weigh double that just standing there. So which of all these planets is the most extreme of all? 16. The planet at the edge of starhood. Some wandering objects are so massive that scientists still debate whether to call them giant planets or brown dwarfs, failed stars that never gathered enough mass to ignite nuclear fusion. They can weigh 13, even nearly 20 times the mass of Jupiter, yet still aren't hot enough to shine on their own. Imagine a nuclear reactor built almost to completion, missing just the last piece needed to ignite. But here's the wildest part of the entire list. The line between planet and failed star is so blurry that the scientific definition of a planet is still being debated today. From a giant eye staring across the cosmos, to rains of glass, liquid iron, and diamond, to orphaned worlds drifting through eternal darkness, and finally, to the blurry line between planet and failed star, the universe just proved that human imagination is still too small for what's actually out there. Out of all 16 planets we just covered, which one surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. If you enjoyed this, smash like and subscribe so you don't miss the next batch of insane cosmic facts.